Good evening. My name is Dr. Georgette Grier, and I am the president of the Brookhaven NAACP Township. I am here and I'm very disappointed in what has happened. All residents and citizens of the town deserve to be engaged and actively participate in governance and the political processes. The town has neglected to provide proper and complete and effective notice of this meeting to the residents directly living in the area and to those immediately affected by the rezoning of the taxpayer land. Additional, the lack of notice, there is a blatant disrespect to the will and the desire of the residents and planning. And in fact, this goes against the direct plan of the residents and specifically the call of uniformity in how design is done, i.e. the Brookhaven Town 2030 plan, which supersedes the old decades plan of 1996. In particular, I call to the section where it says, and over 500 participants were in the room, in this room right here, which I hold up for you, and it points out, participants point out that there is commercial corridors that are dangerous due to high volume of traffic and do not properly reflect the desire of the community character. Stakeholders would prefer to see more mixed-use, pedestrian-friendly development and the revitalization of existing downtowns. Corridor studies integrate transportation and land use planning to evaluate issues, determine goals, and set forth guidelines to reinforce the desired community character along with many of their roads and be conducted and underway and utilize Brookhaven 2030 planning process. Some participants indicated that the town of Brookhaven must also determine the appropriate sites for industrial use and manage concerning stakeholders, residents, in particular in Manorville and Yaphank, and that there were concerns with compost facilities in these communities. Other town residents felt that large sand mines, including the mines in Middle Island, needed to be addressed. So these, will you see, is directly in the 2030 plan which we paid for. So in addition to not only hearing the concerns of tonight, when you hear on the agenda it says the town's own land. No, that means that the town is holding it in trust for us, the people. We own the land. You are working for us, including the planners and the commissioners. So what I'm telling you, what is happening now, this is a theft of our land. You are stealing it to further cause harm to us. So your sins will revisit you. And I'm imploring you now to turn away from all of what you have done. And Dan, you need to get your hand out of our pocket. Why are you bringing this to the forefront and our own representative has abandoned us? So this is not representation. So we have taxation without representation. And in a sense, this is supposed to be a councilmatic district and we have no representation. There is one person to make all of the decisions, and Mr. Supervisor, is that you? Every time we call our representative, we hear we have to speak to the supervisor. You have for too long alienated us from our own town where we pay the taxes. It is unacceptable to have all of us here tonight and have to constantly foil for information. All of the taxpayer money and the salaries and the benefits that come out of this building, you need to do your job. You need to represent us, the people who live here and pay taxes, the people here who have continued to support the elected officials that cede their control over to corporate. So when we think about, do we have trust here? No. We hear money, 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 money. Money! That's all we hear when we see these plans. We are tired of dying. We are tired of dying, and we want a plan that represents us. There is no coincidence that young people are leaving here. In this plan, it specifically says that we want residential diversity to be addressed in the housing. And so what gives you the right to continue to plan and have unqualified people at the helm of the money that we cede to this town? It is not right, and you can no longer continue to ignore us because we're up in the building tonight, and as long as you are open, we will be up in the building. So don't try to say that we don't come forward, because we do, and you continue to ignore us. But we will be here as long as there is an issue concerning North Bellport.
Georgette. Before you go, I
No,
want...
I don't want, if I can't address you back, I don't want to hear it.
You can address me back. It's a public hearing. Public hearing. I want you to know, and I've known you a long time, and you do have a beautiful singing voice.
I have more than that, and I want answers.
This resolution is listed under me because I'm the liaison to the law department. That's why. That's why it is listed under me. And, you know, one person here tonight, and I forget the person's name, and perhaps we should switch the format in having 3 speakers come up and then address those questions that come up. There's a lot of misinformation, incorrect information that is out there that we all have to, and every one of my colleagues works practically 7 days a week. I'm getting to know Jonathan, my new colleague. These people work extremely hard. They care about the community. And a lot of what has been said, and you are owed answers from the planning department and from the people who sit here. Many people who have come up, I think the Shiminskys, you know, talked about the property on Yaphank Avenue. I'm not sure it was told to them that property is already zoned L1. That 15 acres on the corner is not being changed from L1 to L1. It's already L1.
We didn't see that on the map.
There is a lot of information that we want to get out and make sure everyone's questions are answered. Excuse me, sir, can you please? We're going to work to get the correct information out. The Brookhaven 2030 plan was never adopted.
It doesn't matter, but it was 500, and I was a part of that. Not only that charrette, I was a part of 3 charrettes in this town.
Putting stickers on the town. That was when Supervisor Foley was here.
It doesn't matter. I was here.
This town board, many members of the town board, including the supervisor, when you talk about money, the town cares about the people. When the former supervisor tried to raise the landfill height, it was this supervisor who abandoned those plans. When the former supervisor took in sludge and biosolids from New York City for money,
that can be debated. That can be debated. What are we going to do about tonight? What are we going to do about tonight?
This supervisor
taxpayer money
stopped that from occurring. I've never
What do you mean? You mean the last plan that we just stopped and we see signs that the supervisor and Mike stopped? Is that what you're talking about?
No, the Asheville is not going forward.
But we see signs in our community that they too stopped and taking away agency from the community that was fighting night and day, that they take agency away from us? Is that what you're talking about?
I'm talking about the prior administration, and when people call into question, and perhaps I'm sensitive to it, the supervisor's intentions, his intentions are good.
But if they're good, then why can't we sit down and talk? Why can't they come to a meeting? Why haven't we seen you? Why every time we ask that there's nothing that is done? And if you're sensitive, guess how we feel?
I'll answer your question. No members of a governing body are going to sit down with litigants against the town of Brookhaven.
None of us are
Who has lawsuits?
There are members.
Who has lawsuits?
Sir,
who has lawsuits? You're driving us.
There are members of a group.
What group is
who have litigation against the town.
I don't know. None of us. None of us.
Sir, please sit.
No, nobody here has litigation that I know of.
There are members of the civic organization that have litigation against this town.
So I guarantee you, to stop that, if you believe that that is true, the members who don't have litigation, I guarantee you they will sit down. And I'm telling you right now, this has been the worst experience for the community, especially when this has not been the relationship that the community has had. This has been something that no one has expected. And so when you tell about how you feel and your sensitivity, what we have experienced from COVID on has been horrible. Okay? It's like there's been no government at all, and so it's hard for us to swallow what you're saying right now. And if you want to heal like everybody else is saying, this must stop, and we should sit down and talk about it. Because like you said, the only way to get misinformation corrected is to have all of the right information on the table, and then we can move forward.
We are going to try to get all of the correct information out. And
thank you.
Tonight,
that's what we want. But is there going to be a decision? Is this going to be tabled? What's going to happen?
We are going to listen to the rest of the speakers, and we are going to address all of the questions.
But we don't have any proof of what you're saying. That's what we're saying. We weren't able to evaluate anything. 45 minutes before this meeting, we were asking for the secret documents. We didn't get anything.
We'll have planning come up and address it.